Many individuals around the world have become increasingly concerned about their physical health, many of which stem from nutrition. The rise of health issues such as diabetes, high cholesterol, fatigue, and many more are problems that plague developed countries. Instead of coming up with solutions after a problem arises, our proposal aims to tackle the roots of these problems. First, our target consumers would be infants and young children in developed countries.
Consuming water is a liquid that everyone needs to consume on a daily basis. We seek to find a solution to improve the general health of individuals. According to a paper published by the World Health Organization in 2005, titled Nutrients in Drinking Water, it finds that in typical tap water, there was an average of 10 minerals with significant concentration relative to the suggested daily intake. For example, calcium, magnesium, and sodium, to name a few. An imbalance of nutrients, to be specific, minerals, can cause various different diseases or issues. In the most extreme cases, death may also be one of the results. There are 6 main trace minerals with the highest occurrence in tap water of developed countries. All these are sodium, chlorine, selenium, potassium, lead, and fluorine. Each of these minerals can be removed from water without the removal of the other useful trace elements, vital for children's development. These minerals can pose health risks such as nervous system abnormalities, increased blood pressure, respiratory issues, and more. As always, problems are easily created but hard to fix. Thus, we believe by creating a filter that can filter each of these 6 minerals out, we will be able to increase the health of not only infants, but also any other individuals using our products.
Our filtration product mainly targets newborns and infants, as they are the most susceptible to diseases. Once they develop health issues, it will be difficult to correct in the future, and the chances of them carrying these issues for life are significantly higher. In addition, we also target those with unbalanced diets. For example, those who take in too much salt, in other words sodium and chlorine in their meals, fluorine, which can be found in high concentrations in tea or shellfish, and also high-protein diets which contain high concentrations of selenium. Our product design will be a device that will be attached to household water supplies, which can be easily taken apart for cleaning and replacement. In addition to removing the 4 trace elements mentioned just now, our filter can disinfect the water stream using UVC irradiation. What common problems do you see in the developed world today that stem from nutrition?
As a nutritionist, I constantly see high blood pressure as one of the most commonly seen issues in many developed countries around the world. High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, has the highest prevalences in Portugal, Norway, and Finland. This can possibly be caused by the high sodium intake in these countries in their normal day-to-day foods, as high sodium intake causes an imbalance in the balance of minerals in our blood. A higher concentration of sodium results in a reduced functionality of the kidneys, in turn causing increased blood pressure in the body. Secondly, I see hyperglycemia, also known as high glucose levels, and this causes diabetes in developed countries. And with the combination of both hypertension and glycemia, a common result would be hypercholesterolemia. High cholesterol levels can cause severe health problems such as cardiovascular problems. This is because high cholesterol means that there are a lot of fat deposits within the blood vessels. Fat deposits as seen over here as drawn in the black lumps within the blood vessels. Fat deposits as seen over here as drawn in the black lumps are cholesterol, and this in turn results in an increased driving force required to push blood through these narrow blood vessels, causing the heart to pump fat harder and potentially faster. Another common issue seen in many busy cities today is fatigue, as seen over here. Fatigue, though, may be caused by other factors such as lack of sleep or stress. Malnutrition also plays a large part in this. Many people, when encountering upon the word malnutrition, would think of lack of nutrition, which isn't entirely wrong, but it isn't correct either. Malnutrition refers to the imbalance of nutrient intake, which includes overly high intake of certain things such as sugar and salt. Malnutrition is becoming a growing problem in developed countries due to the convenience of fast food, which contains high amounts of salt and sugar. Another common problem would be anemia, where an individual's blood lacks sufficient healthy red blood cells, and this problem is caused by the lack of iron in diet. Iron is a major component of hemoglobin, the oxygen-carrying molecule in human blood. Without sufficient iron in an individual's diet, red blood cell production will be limited.
Thank you for coming to our interview today. We'll just have a few short questions, okay? Where do you usually get your drinking water from? And if it's from home, how do you treat it?
So most of the time I just fill it up with cold tap water, like a kettle, and then I just boil that to like disinfect the bacteria.
Interesting. So by boiling the water, you'd have clean water that's appropriate for drinking, right?
I like to think so, but like in many cities, like all the piping is really old, and that might lead to contamination. And I really don't want my child to be drinking dirty water. Like who knows what you can find in these old dirty pipes, right?
Are you concerned about the contents of your household water supply and that the excessive amounts of minerals will be harmful for your child's health?
Definitely. I fear that they might be intaking too much of these metals, such as like sodium or magnesium or whatnot. I've heard that people experience negative side effects if they intake too much salt or something like along those lines of that.
Mm-hmm. If we were to offer you a water filter that can filter out harmful substances such as chlorine and fluorine, but also leave the useful elements such as magnesium and calcium within the water, would you consider buying such a product?
Of course, I mean, water is such an important part of our lives. We drink it daily, even as adults. And so, if a product can filter out the bad things but keep the good things, I think a lot of people will approach you guys and buy the product.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming to our interview today.
It's a pleasure.
Following minerals in tap water are crucial for the growth of infants and young children. Therefore, it is important not to remove the following elements. Calcium. It is proven that there is a negative correlation of dietary calcium intake and heart disease risks. Low intake of calcium increases absorption retention for cadmium, which increases the potential of cadmium intoxication. Calcium bioavailability in water is believed to be at least as high as that of milk and milk products. Calcium is vital for the building of strong bones and teeth. Deficiency in young children could also lead to the development of rickets. Next, we have copper. Pulmonary function is positively correlated with concentration of copper in drinking water, where low copper intake causes a similar effect on the lungs as an emphysema patient. Copper positively modifies prostaglandin metabolism. Copper is essential for infant growth as it provides bone strength, blood cell maturation, iron transport, cholesterol and glucose metabolism, heart muscle contraction, and brain development. Zinc. Zinc deprivation is correlated to the decrease in serum thymulin and interleukin. Thymulin is responsible in providing mostly inhibitory effects on inflammatory immune responses and stimulation in the neuroendocrine system. Interleukin regulates cell growth, differentiation, and motility. Last but not least, iron. Iron is needed to make the hemoglobin in the body, which transports oxygen through the blood to all cells. Lacking hemoglobin could cause anemia, and for young children, lack of iron could cause abnormal development in the brain, also affecting their future stamina and concentration abilities. Essentially, calcium, zinc, copper, and iron should be kept in water, as it reduces risks in multiple diseases, increases body defense mechanism, provides a stronger body for growth of infants, and a healthier body for adults. The above information was obtained through several notable studies and the World Health Organization. High sodium intake is correlated to high blood pressure and increase in heart rate, which can eventually lead to cardiovascular diseases. It can also lead to kidney diseases and stomach cancer. There have been notable news on salt poisoning in young children, with the average American consuming 40% more than the suggested sodium intake. Additional salt in water would not be favorable. The concentration of chlorine and ions in a typical metropolitan water supply is not sufficient enough to engender harmful health effects. However, in high concentrations and long-term exposure, carcinogenic chlorine-free radicals will form in the body. Studies have found that individuals who consume chlorinated water are twice as likely to develop cancer than those who don't. Selenium has been suggested but not scientifically proven to be beneficial in preventing prostate cancer and lung cancer. It, however, has been proven to make autoimmune diseases worse by stimulating the activity of the diseases. The average American has a 60% extra intake of potassium in their diets, increasing the prevalence of hyperkalemia. Too much consumption in fluorine could lead to fluorine toxicity, leading to weakened bones, ligaments, muscles, and damage to the nervous system ailments. Prolonged overexposure of soluble fluoride salts can also be fatal. As for young children, overconsumption of fluorine leads to seizures, irregular heartbeats, and heart attacks in addition to the previous. Young children are more vulnerable when consuming lead in drinking water. Even a low dose of lead could cause damage to the central and peripheral nervous system, stunt brain development, induce hearing problems, and behavioral problems.
Our product as a whole would be most optimal if it could filter out all harmful substances at the lowest possible price, but this is economically impossible because filters which can remove all harmful minerals such as selenium and fluorine as well as microorganisms would require a large amount of research which contributes to the high costs. Our filter only aims to filter out 6 minerals, all of which can negatively affect our health, and to remove most, if not all, microorganisms so that water that flows through our filter is safe for infant consumption without the need to boil it. We understand that some may view our product as redundant due to our selective filtration of certain minerals, but seeing the trend of health problems developing at younger ages than before, we believe that our filter is useful for tackling the problem at its source. We also understand that there are other harmful minerals in water, and that other water filters may have an advantage over our filter in certain aspects, such as functionality by filtering out more minerals, environmental sustainability by not needing to change the internal filters often, and filtration capacity by being able to filter water at higher volumes of pressure.
The graphene filter will be discussed first. The capacity of the filter is infinite as it is a physical membrane, which means that it is only subjected to wear and tear. There's literature that shows that nanoporous graphene is able to eliminate more than 99% of sodium chloride within the water. So this value will be rounded up to 100% for simplicity's sake. So the typical concentration of sodium chloride within a metropolitan water supply is about 400 milligrams per liter. So in order to calculate the rate, the product between the concentration and the flow rate of the system can be taken. And this value turns out to be 100 milligrams per second, giving the rate, the filtration rate of the graphene filter. And in terms of other filters within the product, it will have the similar capacity and usage life as any other ion exchanger membranes. In terms of the flow rate of the system, it is assumed that there is no accumulation in the system, and the internal fluid resistance is 0. So this means that the input flow rate will equal to the output flow rate. It can be calculated that the typical household water faucet flow rate equals to 6.76 to 13.51 liters per minute. The only part that requires electricity or power input is the UV lamp. The power rating of the UV lamp portion is about 25 watts. Given that the average person consumes about 530 liters of water per month, a household of about 4 individuals will total up to about 2,120 liters. The total usage time of the filter can be calculated by dividing the flow rates by the water consumed. This calculated upper margin of usage duration is about 16,800 seconds. Finally, this value can be used to calculate the total energy consumption per month of the filter. The calculated value is about 220 kilojoules.
Our product as a whole would be most optimal if it could filter out all harmful substances at the lowest possible price. But this is economically impossible because filters with a moderate filtration capacity, which can remove all harmful minerals such as selenium and fluorine, as well as microorganisms such as E. coli and salmonella, would require large amounts of research which contributes to the high cost as seen with the many other products available on the market. Our filter only aims to filter out 6 minerals, all of which can negatively affect our health, and to remove most, if not all, of microorganisms so that water can be safe for consumption without the need to boil it. We understand that some may view our product as redundant due to our selective filtration of certain minerals, and this may be true for some, but seeing the trend of health problems developing at younger ages than before, we believe that our filter is useful for tackling the problem at its source. We also understand that there are other harmful minerals in water, and that other filters may have an advantage over our filter in certain aspects, such as functionality by filtering out more minerals, environmental sustainability by not needing to change the internal filters as often as ours, and filtration capacity by being able to filter water at higher volumes and pressure.
The materials we choose to use are relatively lower in price, as we would like a larger range of users to purchase and be able to use our products. By using more expensive materials, like an expensive shell for the sake of only aesthetic purposes, will increase the price of our products immensely, which would lead to being only affordable by wealthier and higher class families.